Okay, so now we're going to change the cutter, change the buffing wheel and change the belts. So to do that we loosen off the round knobs on either side, they go either direction. We pop the bonnet of the machine, lifting it up, exposing the belts, the buffer and the cutter. So to do this I'm using an adjustable shifter. First thing I'm going to do here is take off this buffing wheel. I'm using my 7mm post, and what you do is of course make sure your power off before you do any of this. You rotate this headstock until there is a hole that goes straight through the center shaft. Then you can insert your tool using an adjustable shifter. You put the shifter on and you just turn it down and it will loosen off. Undo the nut and then you can take your buffing wheel off. Now this buffing wheel here, I'll give you some sizes if you want to use an aftermarket one or a nylon one. The outer diameter on this one is about 56, inner center bore 10.2, and thickness on this one here about 14 and a half. So that's the buffing wheel. Now we have the cutter, so we're going to take the cutter off using our adjustable shifter one more time. We're going to get down here. Now this should be in a backwards formation, a reverse thread, so we'll just try that first. Nope, down, yep, so pushing that one down as well will release it. So you push them both in the downwards formation. So once you crack the nut, you can undo it. There's my nut. Now there is a very small little washer. Well, it's not that small, let's quickly show it to you there. There's our blade, I'll give you some sizes on that in a minute. There's our washer, needs clean now. Okay, so here's our blade, Silca 80 times 1.3. Okay, center bore on this one, 22.6. Overall, I'm guessing it's probably 80. Yep, 80mm. Now these particular teeth here, they're staggered. They're not direct, they're staggered. So I'll give you a width on that one there. 1.4mm. 1.48, so 1.5. Okay, now we have our belts. If you do need to replace the belts, like all things, there's always two ways of doing it, the easy way and the hard way. I'll show you the easy way and then I'll tell you the hard way. So I'll leave my tail stock in there for the moment, and then I'm going to pull this belt to the right, remove my tail stop, and slowly just work this belt over the top. As you can see, it's rolled. Now I'm just going to use my thumb again and that belt is off. So what I do is I just pull it and then start to rotate it until it steps up onto the first step, steps up onto the next step. Now I'm going to get this second belt off. A lot of the time when you do these belts they're going to be broken anyway, so it's no big deal, and they often do have a bit of flex in them. So I've moved it from one groove to the next. Now I'm going to rotate it the other way and get it onto into the first position. Now it's in this position here. Now I'm going to rotate it this way. A bit more. It's starting to roll. Just a bit of pressure on the belt, and there we go. That one's off as well. Okay, so there you have it. The cutters are off. Replacing the cutter is just the same to put it back on. Make sure you do put it in the right direction. Okay, and I believe the right direction is this direction, with the grooves going down. If you put it in the wrong direction you can simply take it off and redo it. So I'll put that one back on there. One thing to note about these belts before we go too far is there is another way of doing it. You could flip this machine upside down. You could take off this metal tray underneath. There's 4 bolts for this motor. You could loosen them, push the motor forward, flip it back over, and then take these belts off, put the new ones on, stretch the motor against the machine, like pull this and this apart and then tighten it. Takes a lot more work, but I prefer my method, but if it doesn't work for you, you can always go for the second method. So we'll just get back to putting the cutters back on. You can see this right here with all this. I'm going to give this a quick brush. Quick brush, just pop that washer back in there. We have our large nut, putting that back in as well. So it is a reverse thread on the cutter side, it normally is. Okay, so that's in there. I put my belts back on. So I'm going for position 1. So I've just put it over here. Now I'm just going to pull it over the pulley, rotate it as I do. Go to position 2, move it from pulley 1 to pulley 2 over this side as well. Now the belt is rolled, so that's no big deal. I'll roll it around, make sure it's in the right spot. So I'm just twisting the belt so it rolls back into its right position. Most of these belts do have a little bit of play, so you shouldn't find them too hard, but if you do, then you can always do the other method. I'll give you some sizes on these belts too, just quickly while I'm looking at them. 5.88mm, 4.36mm, that's the height. Internal part of the V, 4mm, and top of the V, we're at 6mm almost. Thickness, 4.5mm. Okay. And the actual length of this belt, it's very hard to measure belts. See if we can do it on this one. Well, I can't. But if that's 150, maybe 180 long. They are a special belt. When we do find an aftermarket manufacturer or some original belts, we will put them on our website. So I'll just put this second belt back on. Okay, 2 belts back on, ready to drive. We'll put our buffing wheel back on. Tighten that. That's a normal thread on that side. Putting our headstock back in position. Tightening. Double checking. Okay, so that was down, so I need to pull it up to tighten this side. Here's my adjustable shifter. Just one small turn. Okay, that's in position. Rotating it by hand. Now I'm just going to turn it on, make sure that I've put the cutting wheel and all the rest in the right position. If not, they'll be spinning backwards. Closing the bonnet for safety. Okay, safety goggles on for safety checking. Okay, so the buffing wheel and the cutting wheel are spinning in the right direction, so that's good. So that's how you change the buffing wheel, the cutter, and also the drive belts on the Silca GT40.